Hello, everyone. It's Diane, the massage mentor. I've been doing massage since 1996 and haven't taken a paycheck from another business since. And I'm on a mission to find some of the best massage teachers, not just in the country, but in the world. And I think I have one on online right now with me. And many of you probably recognize this gentleman. I consider you to kind of almost be the king of sports massage from what I'm checking out. James, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your current place in the massage industry?
Yeah, I started out 1990. I started out in sports massage. Back then, I was the chair of the National Sports Massage Education Certification for National Certification in Sports Massage. I went on to work things like the Olympic Games in Atlanta, teach seminars at the Olympic Training Center in Australia prior to the 2000 Olympic Games, several years with the New York Yankees during their World Series 96, 97, 98. So it was a really awesome journey working with the Olympic and professional athletes early in my career.
I think that's, as I watch your videos, there's no doubt that you know the human body in a way that I think even a lot of massage therapists don't. So I'm very interested in learning more about you and spending some time with you. So you were a paramedic for 20 years, and you've worked in a trauma center, and you used to teach emergency medical courses. How do you think that helped with your massage, like coming into the massage world?
I think it was instrumental because first of all, I was pre-med and I stopped just short of getting my degree in psychology after my associate's degree in pre-med sciences. So then as a paramedic firefighter, I would do everything from high-level rescue, working in ER. I worked with an orthopedic surgeon for 10 years, which are really good about seeing his
Wow.
assessments, his treatments, his surgical procedures. So 10 years in an emergency room, 10 years with an orthopedic surgeon as a trauma flight paramedic. I think that was instrumental in launching me into the medical background of understanding orthopedics and understanding rehabilitation. So it was really the foundation of the work I'm teaching now all over the world.
Now, the next question you almost kind of answered, but I'm just going to ask it again in case you want to give another little twist on it. And that is, how did you decide, massage is what I want to do, and then teaching? How did all that kind of come to fruition?
Well, actually, teaching was my passion because as a paramedic, starting at the age of 16, I
Wow.
taught universities and colleges all over Florida, the Midwest. I taught the fire departments on extrication. So teaching was my real passion. And then massage, honestly, I took it as a hobby. I was a triathlete, serious marathon runner, and through my own injuries, the sports massage that I had obtained helped me understand the importance of massage for training, rehabilitation, and athletic injuries and orthopedic conditions. I also had some great mentors early in my career. Benny Vaughn, one of the leading world leaders in sports massage, who I just ran into the airport here in Dallas last weekend. In 1990, studying with Benny Vaughn, Michael McGillicuddy, and being on the National Sports Massage team as the examination director and certification person really launched a lot of different things. So the paramedic thing tied into the sports background tied into the sports massage, and then that evolved into orthopedic massage and integrated manual therapy as will come out later in this interview.
Well, it's just it's really neat to learn a little bit more about how it all started. So how would I like how honest you are? And I'm just going to throw in one thing that I heard. One of the things you were saying in one of your lectures was, we ask our clients, and I put this in my book. So when I heard you saying it too, I was like, yes. Sometimes that stuff runs through all of us, and you were saying, here we are asking our clients, and a lot of us aren't doing exercises in the morning ourselves. Like how can we ask our clients to do these things if we're not ourselves doing them and learning more about our own bodies? So thank you so much for that wisdom.
And I think self-care is critical. And for me, if I'm 63, I'm still doing serious cycling. I'm in the gym 5 days a week, but just the basic stretches and exercises that keep my body into balance and healthy, I think they're instrumental. And somebody once told me, a wise mentor said, if you're telling people to do your self-care and not doing it yourself, that makes you a hypocrite. So I certainly don't want to be traveling the world representing my
Right.
hypocrite.
So
So
thank you for that.
you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much, because you're reaching a lot more people than say I am at this point, and you've talked to people all over the world, and I'm just really grateful for that twist on it.
Great.
So how would you describe your general approach with clients?
My whole career was changed probably in 1993 when I studied Whitney Lowe's orthopedic assessment. And what all my videos, all my books, all my lectures, they involve two things. One, you evaluate, you palpate, you do special tests. And every technique really within the protocol starts and finishes with assessment. So if you do that, and the other thing I do, I cater to all audiences because some of my learners are kinesthetic, some are visual, some are auditory. So we spent over $100,000 in our Pearson book with clinical massage for artwork. So you could actually see that scar tissue, see those capsular patterns. Every video I do, if you see a nerve test, you see which nerves are entrapped. And when you're doing the technique, how to specifically combine a technique to the underlying pathology. So I'm finding that a lot of people that have autism, dyslexia, different types of learning opportunities, I call them, different styles of learning, we tend to cater to that because I'm very kinesthetic and very visual. I don't retain much by reading a book or seeing things in a lecture. I have to do the work, see the pathologies of the work. So a big evolution in the field of medicine.
And the way you speak is so thoughtful too. I think it's really nice. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You can just tell. Well, I love talking to people that you can tell by experience. They're just absorbing all this information and just so eloquently sharing it with others. So again, I'm just going to keep thanking you probably the whole interview for your whole hard work because I can tell you're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think is most important for therapists to remember when working on clients?
You know, I work with a lot of veterans, a lot of wounded warriors, a lot of people with post-traumatic stress, a lot of people with brain injury and head trauma. And one of the things as a Christian, I think it's important we understand there's a spiritual, emotional, energetic, postural, structural connection. And one of the things that I really believe, I'm working with special ops, Navy SEALs, things out of Washington, D.C., where that's my conference call in an hour, and working with them, even though we put their physical body back together, decompress every nerve, make all the scar tissue healthy, get the structural balance, there's still a battle going on. So I think if we don't forget that there's an emotional piece related to anxiety, stress, if we miss that piece, we're missing the
Thank
truth
you.
thing.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're filling my heart up right now.
Welcome.
And one thing too, I want to see your shirt. I can only see the top. There we go. Now we can see. Look at him. I love that shirt.
Yeah.
Good shirt.
Thank
Yeah. So how many students do you think you've reached so far? I mean, it's
Oh, God.
been
It's got to be in the hundreds of thousands because even the World Massage Festival alone coming up in May, we have 178 people in that class. The Wisconsin AMTA coming up the week before, we have 100 people. So 45 weekends a year, 15 countries across the globe. I did a recent chiropractic conference where I had 200 chiropractors, and they love this work. They love the soft tissue relationship to joint problems and nerve compression problems. So I would say it's over 100,000. That's probably a low number.
and I'm guessing by the way that I'm hearing you speak, especially with for me the PTSD and the people coming back that are protecting our country and just life in general, some of the emotional stuff. What are some of the do any moments stick out in your mind as a teacher or spreading the word or through your experiences that really stand out?
I think there's a couple. One, I was at a national conference teaching sports massage certification, and a young man asked me if he could have lunch, and with my busy schedule, I really didn't have the time, but I made the time. And a year later, I see him, and he said, "Mr. Waslaski, thanks for having lunch. I now have a successful practice. I worked the Olympics last year, thanks to your guidance." And he said, "That day before I spoke with you, I was going to commit suicide." So you never know what's happening when someone reaches out. That's one story. The veteran stories, though, are endless.
Right.
One guy named Chaz, he was blown up in Iraq. He had frozen shoulder. He had every nerve entrapment imaginable between his brain and his fingertips. He couldn't lift his arm. He was on drugs, opiates every day, IV drugs. And in one session, he was able to raise his arm above his head. He was able to feel his arm again. He was able to hold his baby for the first time in a month. I mean, in a session with reconstructing the position of bones, decompressing nerves, releasing capsular patterns. Because I've learned from the best in the world, and I'm integrating way more than just one modality. And to give Chaz his life back, he's not on drugs anymore. He doesn't need the opiates. And
that is amazing.
Those are the stories that have so many of those stories from bomb
That is
victims.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really touching.
And the thing, like it's sometimes you get to see what you're doing right away, and sometimes it takes some time. And that's one thing I just like to point out. I've been in the business now for 24 years, and
Mhm.
everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, I have 10 employees, and I'm kicking it here in Philadelphia. It's been really great. We're getting lots of recognition in this area, and it's been a lot of fun." But like yourself, I mean, it has taken, again, I just like to point out, like, it's taken a lot of dedication on your part to kind of have all these experiences. Like, I think if I'm hearing you correctly, you didn't learn by sitting there being like, okay, my name's James, I'm going to be this, this, and this. No, you're out there doing it. And
I
that's
mean,
how.
only out there doing the treatments and teaching 45 weekends across the globe, but I take about 100 to 200 hours of training on my weekends off or during the middle of the week, almost per year. I just took a 4-day course with Kerry D'Ambrosio on lymphatic drainage, another 3-day course with Eric Dalton on muscle alignment. I took a head injury concussion course with Don McCann on brain trauma. I'm working with the doctor from the White House, Dr. Antone, on
Wow.
concussions, brain trauma, hand injuries. That's just in the past year. So the passion just keeps growing because you don't stay stale. You keep adding new courses, new information, new research, new clinical studies, and you become a better practitioner so you can better serve the people that need this work.
And you're inspiring me. You're definitely inspiring me. This is good stuff. Um, so let me see, where am I? 'Cause I'm getting so excited. Okay. I mean, I think we're talking about this a little, but I'm just going to narrow it into the question. As a teacher, what are some of the most important lessons you've learned personally? Like when you teach a class, you get to take things home sometimes, and you get to spread that joy through your family. Or, you have these deep revelations as a person. I would think it's impossible not to, from the way I'm hearing you speak. What would you say are some of the big things that you've gotten to bring with you throughout your life?
I think one is be humble. Number two is give gratitude. I mentioned all of my teachers, all of my educators.
I know I like that. That
None
is
of
all.
the work is mine. I've studied for 36 years with the masters across the globe in osteopathic, physical therapy, athletic training, chiropractic. So I think if you stay humble and get out of your own ego, your own way, and I think if you quiet your mind and really tune into the energetic part, that's the holding patterns, the fear of more pain, the trauma that's going on in that person. I'm a very intuitive therapist, but because I'm in scientific world, I have to know every muscle, bone, ligament, nerve. But my intuition, that visceral gut instinct, guides all of my treatments. And I get out of my own brain, my own mind, and I slow down and pay attention. I also know that we are not fixing people. We are true facilitators of the body's innate wisdom to heal themselves. So I think by being a strong Christian again, I think that I believe that I'm facilitating healing of the innate wisdom of the body's potential to heal itself by basically putting the body back into balance, but also dealing with the emotional devastation of prior life experiences, trauma, depression. There's a bigger picture in changing the plasticity of the brain than just physically changing the structure of the body.
Oh my goodness gracious! I could sit here and listen to you for days. Okay, so I read one of the things that another thing that you said was that one of your goals is to bridge the gap between all healthcare providers throughout the world. I mean, that's a beautiful and hefty goal. So could you just elaborate on that a little more?
One of my mentors and one of my clients, Tony Robbins, he said, if your goals are impotent, this was 20 some years ago, if your goals are impotent, you're not going to work hard to achieve them. So I'm literally working from the chief physician at the White House. I'm working with people around the globe, chiropractic conferences, conventions, and what we're doing is we are bridging that gap. We are giving massage therapy this respect they've never gotten before
Yes,
amongst our
yes,
colleagues, amongst the PTs, amongst the chiropractors.
right.
We're the soft tissue experts. So I find when I teach chiropractors, sometimes they'll ask me to dummy it down because they're not on top of every muscle, bone, ligament relationships of joint and nerve functions. But I think bridging that gap for me started in Australia in 1998 when I was training people for the Olympic Games. Everybody was working together with their strengths. The chiropractor, the osteopath, the physio, the massage therapist, they all had their strengths and some of them had their weaknesses. So we all capitalized. So I've been doing that since the 90s, trying to integrate so that we're not saying, well, you're just a massage therapist. We're a vital part of the team. And I would never let anybody put us down. Benny Vaughn's the same way. He's an athletic trainer, strength and conditioning coach. But he said, I'm proud to be a massage therapist. I can represent
Aw.
this great profession to all of our colleagues and bridge the gap of manual medicine.
I think you're the first person. I think there's like a little. You got me a little too because it's so true. You know, I've been in this thing since 1996, and you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a massage therapist." I'm like, "Yes, I am a massage therapist for 20 some years. I've been spreading lots of love. You know, taking care of a lot of wounded hearts, if you want to say. You know,
Yeah.
giving people a little kick in their step." So thank you for acknowledging that. That was
You're, well,
beautifully put.
just a story about that. I was just teaching 200 chiropractors, and as I entered the door, I heard a chiropractor say, "Well, he's just a massage therapist," meaning their expectations weren't really high. But I let that go. After I threw them away on our new nerve release techniques and our frozen shoulder techniques, and released one of their colleagues' frozen shoulders that has been like that for 15 years, I think I changed their mindset quite a bit. Actually, that's the way to do it: is through your actions, and not to lower yourself to their level of ego, and just show them what we can do. And I think I have that brilliant opportunity with thousands of hours of training.
And I'm a studier of and I heard you saying that you're very strong in your Christian belief, and I have to say one of my favorite quotes in the Bible is the words written on our hearts are shown by our actions.
They are,
So I
and
think, you know,
that's so true.
yeah, so I really like that. So let's just talk about, I couldn't remember all these places that you've been, so I'm going to have to stare at the paper and read them, okay? You've taught in the United States, Ireland, London, Scotland, Canada, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Greece, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Amsterdam, Holland, Italy, Egypt, Russia, Dubai. So what would you say is the common similarity in the culture of massage and bodywork throughout all those places?
I think some of the countries focus more on the clinical aspect, even though they're lesser hours. I know been teaching in Ireland for 15 years, and they're very clinically based protocols. But I think the bottom line is there's so many aspects of massage. There's the chemicals that change in the brain. There's the neuroplasticity. There's the structural, postural. There's the specialization in visceral, lymphatic, cranial, all of which I'm going to take over time. But I think that the bottom line is we touch from our hearts to facilitate emotional, energetic, spiritual, physical healing. And so I think there's a general group of therapists that believe that we are put on this earth, this is our mission, or this is our ministry, and this is what we do to help heal the body, mind, spirit. I think there's a much more global input on research. Like there's a research book called Genie in Your Genes that every thought we give energy to communicates to every cell in the human body to the level of changing our DNA. I used that when I went through 3 months of cancer treatment at MD Anderson. I used that to heal my cells, my tissue makeup. So I think there's a bigger global input on holistic medicine rather than traditional medicine. And I think around the world, there's a lot of schools that have outdated information, but there's a lot of schools that are really on the cutting edge of the research and clinical studies and paradigm shifts of our profession. So I love teaching in all these countries because all of them have been on my bucket list. And what better way to get paid to do your bucket
Right.
than to teach seminars globally, internationally?
It's amazing, and I'm really, it's really, like I said, I mean, I like was like, this guy is cool, but now that I'm talking to him, wow, this is amazing. Like, especially too, like I said, one of the things that this has been inspiring me to do interviewing all these people is, you know, I got to take some more classes, you know, and you have to keep fresh and you got to keep on things to really keep that fire alive. So it's just really cool to hear you. You're just hitting on so many great things. So thank you very much, Jim. So we kind of covered what is the greatest gift on a personal level you've received as a teacher and a massage therapist. So is there anything else you want to say about that? I mean, you have really like,
There's so many stories, and I'm sure so many other
yeah.
therapists have so many stories. But I just met the grandmother of a little girl. Her name was Amy. She was born with two frozen hips. I first treated her when she was 5. She's going to high school prom now, but I treated her when she was 5, and she couldn't walk, so she couldn't walk normal, and her kidneys and bladders were failing. And after doing some structural integration with her pelvis and working her hip capsule, she walked normal. And now she's a brilliant young adult pursuing this a career. Her grandmother was just assisting me in a seminar. But when you change somebody's lives at that young age, so they don't have to live in pain for their whole life, uh, that should be what drives us for what we do, not the money. The money, in my opinion,
Yes.
when the passion is driving what you do. I think that's really
Yes.
important.
I couldn't agree more. Okay. So, uh, is there like, I don't want to let, I honestly, I don't want to let you go, James, because I'm really enjoying this. But
Well, that's
is there, I really appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to kind of leave us with? I know you have some classes coming up here in PA. Is there anything you want to give a shout
Yeah,
out about or tell us about?
I think people to go to our website. It is www.orthomassage.net. So www.orthomassage.net. It'll show our global retreats, things around the world, our work with the wounded warriors. I'm going to be in Pottstown doing a workshop next weekend, not this Easter, but next weekend, and then again in June. I guarantee you the work you'll learn will be the cutting edge of updated research, clinical studies, and neuroplasticity. And there's things that you'll learn you'll never ever imagine learning in the profession of massage. So this is my ministry. This is why God put me here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share.
So I would like to say, again, just thank you so much for your time, for your hard work. It comes out through every word that you speak. And I'm just really grateful for your journey so far. And if you would just hang on for 1 second, I'd like to catch up with you as I end the broadcast, okay?
Sure,
So
awesome.
thank you everyone for tuning in. It'll be posted. I'll put up James's information so you'll easily be able to get a hold of him and check out his website. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks.